Hello, welcome to week 3 of the Three Rivers Challenge. I cannot believe we're already at week 3, but I kind of can because this has felt like an absolute marathon. So, I just got back from my flight in this video and I am truly exhausted. It took me forever to think about what I wanted to cook this week because I knew I was really just like running low on ideas and motivations in this challenge. And honestly, I feel like I can say I broke the challenge a week early just because I did spend money on groceries this week that wasn't technically in the budget. So you'll see my haul for that, not for this meal, but for my next meal. But I am making bison vegetable soup, I guess is what I'm calling it. It's just like your regular ground beef vegetable soup, but I just had some ground bison in my freezer, so I wanted to use that up. I have these little spice, bins in the cabinet above my microwave, so I'll try to pull them down and just sift through the spices to see what I think sounds good. I rarely ever follow recipes. I'm constantly just making things up as I go. And really, it turns out pretty good most of the time. I just added some of my herb butter. I was really good about using this in the beginning of the challenge, and then I kind of fell off using it, and now I'm trying to use it again. I don't know. It's not something I'm trying to use up, but I want to be cognizant about using it, I guess is the best way of describing that. I'm just chopping up a bunch of carrots. This is kind of the only fresh vegetable I have in my fridge right now, which is totally fine. I have a handful of frozen things that I do need to use up, but I cut them into, would you consider that 1/2 inch pieces? I have no idea. And then I have some of the turkey broth that I canned a while back. I also have this large can of diced tomatoes. And then this is the meal prep from last week. That's the chicken wild rice hot dish meal that I made. I absolutely stabbed myself trying to chisel out these onions. Definitely hurt. Luckily I didn't break the skin, but it was painful. But I'm just chopping up the chunks of frozen onion into the ground beef. This isn't necessarily ideal. The most ideal way I would have done that would be to take the ground beef, or it's not ground beef, ground bison, out of the pot and then put the onions at the bottom to kind of scrape off that mylar layer at the bottom of the pan, but I just didn't really get that at this point. So it's okay. I added a bunch of frozen corn. This corn is definitely freezer burnt and probably has very minimal nutritional value, but it was something that I need to get out of my freezer, and I need to be a lot better about just tossing it into dishes. But I added the whole can of diced tomatoes with the juice included, and then now I'm just throwing in the frozen leftover hot dish just to add a little bit of bulk and to use it up. It wasn't my favorite dish to eat plain, but I think it added a really good flavor to this soup. I tasted the soup and felt like it needed a few more spices, so I added just a little bit more onion and garlic powder, and then I added a dash of that banana pepper juice, and I think that gave it a good level of vinegar and spice that it needed to cut through the, I don't really know what flavor that would be, but I needed it to cut through that umami flavor of the broth. But ultimately, this is a pretty solid dish. I would definitely make it again. So this is where I ended up going grocery shopping. I just felt like I had nothing in my house. I just didn't have anything in my house. So I really, really wanted to make these breakfast sandwiches. Since I ran out of protein powder, I really need to start eating breakfast, and I just had nothing to eat or make breakfast with. Yes, I could have made these English muffins, but I just did not have energy. I was really exhausted from my travels. But I just got some apples, bananas, mushrooms, a few other random things. But I grabbed a handful of pepperoncinis. I bought one for the fridge and then a couple for the pantry, and that's kind of how I plan to restock my pantry, is just buying like one or two at a time. Now I had this gift card to a liquor store local to me, and I don't really drink. It's just not my thing. So I bought all these little mini wines and then this Smirnoff because I want to start cooking with alcohol. So kind of like making vodka pasta types of dishes, or adding wine to sauces, or slow roasting meat with the red wine, just stuff like that to add some depth to my dishes, because I feel like a lot of them I just like need something extra with them. I'm not really sure. But this is the bacon grease that I'm struggling to get into the pan. But I had my brother save that from the last time he cooked bacon, so then I can fry things in it. Now, if I were to make this again, I would not dredge the pork chops in this seasoned flour, because although it crisped up in the pan, it got soggy as a leftover in the sauce. So it really didn't have that great of a texture. And like I said before in a video a few videos back, I won't be buying pork chops in bulk anymore. Although they're a very, very affordable economic option when it comes to buying meat, I just don't like them that much. And I know there's a meme going around online that just like pork chops are like dry, and the joke that you would have them 7 times a week with barbecue sauce as a kid, which was definitely how we grew up. And that's not that it's bad, but I guess they're not my preferred form of protein. So I probably just won't be buying them in the future. At this point, Tucker, my brother, is also trying to cook in the kitchen with me, and I'm trying so hard to chisel these onions out. And previously he was making a steak. Now he's learning how to melt tallow because he's going to fry some potatoes and burn the crap out of them, honestly. But I wasn't paying attention to what he was cooking because I was attempting to burn my food. The pan was like 3 seconds away from burning the garlic at the bottom of that, so I had to get the wine in before I like ruined the dish. So he luckily had bought in some fresh herbs to elevate his steak game. I was trying to teach him how to cut an onion. I turned around for 1 second and he cut the onion the wrong way. And yeah, it was definitely a disaster. And half the onion I feel like fell onto the floor. He was just making an absolute disaster. And this is him like really afraid to put the potatoes in because he thought the tallow was gonna like splash everywhere. But see, look at what a disaster he made, and he's like sweeping it up. But anyways, that's kind of the point of showing you this. Like, there's 2 different people cooking 2 different meals in a very small kitchen, so it's gonna get messy. But I think it's kind of fun to cook with him because he's definitely still learning, and so am I. But I can kind of like teach him little things that I've learned. He's trying to show you his stellar potato flipping skills, splattering oil just everywhere, but we love him. See, look at how dark they are. He's just burning the crap out of them, and I didn't realize he was cooking on high. Otherwise, I would have turned it down for him, but I was too worried about burning my own stuff that I couldn't really pay attention to his food, but it's okay. He ate it. Now I'm just packaging up the pork chops and the sauce into containers. I just added a can of these like French style green beans, and I put a pork chop and a half per container, which ended up being like a pretty solid amount. Now I am making this egg sandwiches I was talking about. I normally don't crack one at a time, but I had these eggs in the fridge for a pretty long time. And if you have seen the price of eggs right now, I could not risk cracking potentially one bad egg into a container of 12 eggs. So I took the time and cracked them into a separate bowl. But I also wanted to do all my grocery shopping at one spot, so I ended up getting this ham from Walmart, knowing it wasn't pre-sliced, but I just thought I could slice it myself. The mandolin just wasn't, it didn't have a thick enough setting for it to really work, so I'll probably just buy the kind I normally buy from Aldi in the future. But I am just adding a few tablespoons of butter to the bottom of this cast iron pan. I wanted to cook this in cast iron so I could get that added iron into the eggs, even though I know eggs are like kind of hard to cook in a cast iron. But honestly, it turned out really well. I seasoned them very basically. At first I wanted to do everything bagel seasoning, but I didn't really want to fish it out from the containers above the microwave because I'm kind of short and I'd have to pull them all out. So I just did salt and pepper, pretty generic. But these sandwiches actually turned out really good. They were inspired by my friend who I was traveling to go see. So I just made a handful of them and I put them in my freezer. But ultimately, this pantry challenge has taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot about the foods that I actually like and don't like. It's taught me how to prioritize using up what I have in my fridge before going and buying something else and potentially wasting food. And ultimately, this is something that I want to continue to do in the future. But for now, I think it went really well. And I'm happy for the lessons that it's taught me. I am very excited to go to the grocery store and be very grateful for having fresh fruit and fresh vegetables in my freezer or in my fridge, and just, yeah, it's made me more grateful than I think I was before. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching me participate in this series. I hope you had a great pantry challenge if you were participating in this series. But I will continue to make cooking videos with me because I absolutely love cooking. But this is the end of today's video, and I will talk to you later.